Hey there, everybody out there in 91.8 The Fan Land. How are you? No, this is not who you were expecting to hear, was it? No, I don't think it was. Kana's having a little bit of computer trouble, so I am taking over the interview for today. That's right, it's now Kibble's Corner. Julie Nathanson is our wonderful guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Julie Nathanson. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. How about?
I like jumping.
All right, let's do some jumping jacks. Uh, well, you've been on 90210 to the Powerpuff Girls to Batman, even StarCraft. So can you tell us a little bit about, all of the experiences you've had all together with everything? Or like just kind of like a general experience with how you feel about, acting, voice acting, all types of acting
In about 10 seconds or less.
in about
Uh,
10 seconds or less.
yeah. Um, I started out doing on camera. There, there's nothing like finding that one of the TV shows I started on has now been remade. So the 90210 I was on was the original 90210, which
They have
dates
a
me in
new
ways
one?
I care not to talk about. Yes. But yeah, I did a lot of on-camera acting, and somewhere in the beginning of my career on camera, I had the fortune of beginning some work in voiceover, and I kind of fell in love with it. So I lost my love for the on-camera, I guess about 10, 12 years ago, and just kept my love affair with voiceover.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, you've got quite a diverse list of accomplishments there. What about like how you got into the voice work? What's the story on that a little bit?
So, about a year into my work on camera, I was on a soap opera, which again dates me because in my day we had soap operas, but they don't exist anymore. So all the soaps I was on, I think, are all now defunct. But when I was first beginning in soaps, I, was a young actress and I wanted to know if people thought I was awesome. So I went, I went on the
Into this
internet
place called the
and
internet.
onto the place called the internet, which was not yet as exciting and ubiquitous as it is today.
I hear
Um,
it's kind of a
and
big deal right now.
it's kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, only the hip people are cool with the computer thing, but geeks rule. So so I went on and I wanted to see what the fans thought of me, which I thought would give me a nice little boost to my ego, or perhaps send me to the fiery pits of hell. What I found was something in the middle. I found that people were saying, she's good and everything, or she's cute and everything, but I have to turn the volume off on my computer, on my television, because it's like Alvin and the Chipmunks have invaded my living room.
Oh,
Right. Yeah. Thank you for the pity. However, at the time I went, really? Huh. Okay. Those chipmunks make a lot of money. I'm going to go make some money on this. So I went to my commercial agents, and how I got to my commercial agents is another story, perhaps for another time.
okay.
But a lot of voiceover agencies are located within the context of a commercial agency, and I was represented at the time, and I asked for a meeting with the voiceover agents, and I remember sitting in the conference room and saying, I'm a trained actor, and I've also trained as a singer. I probably can figure this stuff out. Can you guys send me on some voiceover stuff? All right, sure. So the first thing they sent me on was an audition for promos for the Lifetime channel, and I booked it, and it ended up being like a year-long account, and it basically paid my rent for a year in New
Wow.
York. So I got really lucky right off the bat, and I hate to say it, but like the rest is history. It was a really organic match for me. I loved doing the voiceover, and it didn't feel like something I had to overthink. I think that's one of the difficulties with on-camera acting is you have to kind of forget that people are actually seeing what you're doing. But if you forget too much, then you mix up for your audience, what they're seeing visually versus what you're trying to evoke.
Right.
And with voiceover, there's such a freedom, I find, and so it's really something that I love doing, and it was a nice match.
Well, that's
So
what they say. Do what you love and love what you do.
yes, and lemons to lemonade for me with chipmunks. So
Well, there you go. Did you actually audition for Alvin and the Chipmunks, or...
I did not, but I suppose if I had gone public with my story at that time, perhaps I could have garnered an audition.
Well, maybe. Well, you told us a little bit about between the differences of, on-camera acting and voice acting, but you've been in like anime, animation, video games, any other kind of, I'm sure you've done commercials and promos and stuff. Like, what would be some of the little intricate differences between stuff like that?
Um, well, I think it's safe to say that anytime you're playing a character, there's a different vibe. You get to sort of create the world of a character. If you're doing a game, certainly, a beloved game like Final Fantasy, when you're jumping into, I was so honored to jump into the character of Prish, who had already been established. Right. And, you sort of want to stay true to, number one, whatever your director is sharing with you, and number two, whatever has already been established. When I'm doing commercial work, I tend to bring more of just myself and stripping it down as much as I can to, what I bring to the table and what makes what I have to offer different from whoever else may have auditioned. That's fine, but being able to stay true to, I guess, just to how I would say something a lot of the time. I don't know if I'm answering your question helpfully. There really are a lot of nuanced differences between the different realms of voiceover, and yeah, I've been ridiculous.
Right, like ADR versus prelay, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, if I'm doing something where I have to loop in and I see, what's happening on the screen, whether it's animation or whether it's on camera, a live action, and I'm matching lip flaps, that carries with it a lot of technical differences. But if I'm doing, radio commercials or television commercials, a lot of the time, there may not be backing tracks, or there may not be any visuals for me to watch. And so that's a little bit more, I guess, part and parcel to whatever timing they need, but a little more a free reign. But there's, you have to pay attention to whatever the directors want. Actors can take credit for a lot of things, but that, if I'm not willing to do what's asked of me, then I'm not really, I think, worth their time or their money, frankly.
And next time you probably won't have a job with them.
Yeah, I think people get very carried away with how exciting it is to do these jobs, and I'm the actor and I created this, and I don't really feel that way. I have, I don't know, I don't want to sound too new agey here, but I come from such a place of gratitude. This is a really fun and a really lovely and a beautiful thing for me to be able to do for a living. It's so much fun. And I think for me, that's part of why I've been able to do it for so long, is that my love for doing this work has not waned a bit. And so, that also carries with it, I think, a lack of that need to be right and need to, I have to create this and make it about me or mine. And I'd rather just give people what they need and hope that I'm, serving the game or serving the show.
And have fun doing it, of course.
Well, yeah, heck yeah.
So do you have any, favorite voice roles you've done, per se, or... And don't say, the ones that gave you a paycheck, because we've heard that one before.
So funny. That actually would not be my first answer. To be honest, I loved playing Prish. I like playing, Spitfire, badass chicks. I liked being able to have fun. I'm sure we'll talk about Prish at some point, but I too like food.
Right.
But I also had a show called, or I was on a show called The Zeta Project for a couple of years on the WB, when there was a WB. The character of Ro was really fun for me to play. And I also do some work with The Sims. I've done a bunch of the My Sims games, and I also do the newer game, The Sims Medieval, and I had a really incredible experience working on actually tiny bit of the development. Anyone else hear that?
Yes, I think Are you perhaps on speakers?
All I know is that it sort of sounded like an alien invasion. I'm not clear about what that would sound like?
I think they're coming to abduct you. I don't
I
know.
possibly. I don't know. Maybe I said something and I've angered them.
Let's try not to anger the aliens anymore.
Yeah, just made myself sound really fringe. But yeah, I mean, we're working on The Sims and The Sims Medieval, things like that, or My Sims. That's been a complete blast. That's a whole other world, and I've gotten to work on some really awesome games. And yeah, it's really hard to pick favorites. I got to be honest.
No, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but you get so many good roles that you can't pick your favorite one. I'm sorry you got all these great roles.
That sounds awful. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I meant I have a really good time doing it. I have really a great time doing a radio commercial. It doesn't have to be something that, that is necessary.
You don't have to pick your favorites. Every one of them is fun in its own different, interesting way.
My favorite is this interview right now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
See what I did there? See what I did?
I see what you did there. You just got some brownie points on 918 The Fan.
Now, I just want some brownies.
Let's go ahead and make some brownies on a quick break. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
All right, we'll be right back on 918 The Fan, and y'all stay tuned. We're going to be back with brownies.
So you guys should totally check out my radio station. It's over 9,000, and it has cheeseburgers and all your base will belong to us. It's the best thing.
Wrong! Are you tired of epic fail when it comes to memes? At 91.8 The Fan, we got you covered. Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Well, at least I have chicken.
Hey there, everybody, back out in 91.8 The Fan land. I am back, and I have not scared off my guest. That's not an original line, it's an antique, so I should probably be careful with it. So, during the break, we actually mentioned we were going to talk about your most, is it your most recent?
Let's see.
One of your recent roles.
In terms of what's come out, I think that's hard to say, but yeah, a more recent role.
Yes, Prish. But tell me a little bit about that one. You seem to sound like you liked that role a lot and had a lot of fun with it, and not about how you recorded it, because that's off limits apparently.
Well, I mean, let me just speak to that for a second. I'm very protective of the career that I have, so I'm really careful about making sure that I don't step on toes or say the wrong thing. There's a lot, I'm sure you all know this, a lot of confidentiality that's so imperative in the work that we do, and sometimes even the recording itself and the process of creating a game is part of that confidentiality, and I want to be respectful of that because I like what I do for a living. So, with that being
said, love those NDAs.
Yeah. But with that being said, Prish was a blast. First of all, she's cute as a button, and I gotta say, I think, and I haven't done enough research on this, I think she's the first character I've played who actually has a real life costume I could buy if I want to. Now that is awesome.
That
awesome. Makes me very happy. So I can't promise that I will not be Prish for Halloween or this year.
Maybe you should go to a couple conventions and cosplay her.
I might stop short of that, but I can't promise that I will. I'm not sure. I have to think about it. That's a lot to think about. But she's awesome. I mean, I really like playing chicks with energy, and I call her a chick because, although she's older than she lets on, or older than she sounds, there's such an energy to her, and
right. It's all about the attitude and the energy.
Yeah, she's got a lot of attitude, and plus she's a big fan of food, and I am a fan of food. I think I had a couple of favorite lines of hers that had to do with food, but yeah, I mean, she was great. She was really great. I appreciated being able to, as I said earlier, jump into such a beloved role, and that's a lot of pressure, actually. She had not been voiced before, and I wanted to. Hello.
I said.
I wanted to, at least in English, I think she had not spoken in Chain. So I feel like I wanted to, honor the story and honor the character. And
right, because you're the first person to give her an English voice and sort of set the bar for, Prish. Even though we hope that anytime in the future she is voiced by you, of course.
Oh, that's very sweet. In the English version. And thank you very much. That's
well,
very sweet.
Maybe in the Japanese version too, if you can speak it.
No. That was done beautifully by a different actress. So yes, but thank you very much. Yeah,
oh,
it was
fun. So, other than that, do you have any like stories or any, well, obviously not from the Prish, do you have any stories from like in the booth or anything fun that happened like while you were recording? Because I think the fans really like to hear the kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Behind the scenes of any game, any experience.
Any game, any voice role.
Yeah. Well, I think before the funny alien sound happened earlier, I think I was going to share something about The Sims Medieval, which was really cool. I had been doing some My Sims games for EA for several years, and they let me know that they were going to be working on a new game, and they asked me to come in and help them work out a new kind of Simlish. I don't know if you're familiar with the Sims, but they speak in a very specific gibberish that sounds
right.
like a language and can't be any other language. And it's a really fun, challenging kind of improv. And not only working on the new sound of the Simlish for this new game, but also any dialect that might have been used. And because it was a medieval sound, we played around with so many different dialects and voices and sounds for the language itself. And I was so honored to be able to come into this tiny part of their development process. And I had never done anything like that before. And then, of course, when they started working on the game, they cast me in the game. And it was really fun to start working on it, having been a tiny little part of the process. So that was
pretty awesome. And you can put game developer on your resume now.
Oh, but see, I wouldn't dare because, again, that's not my place. I leave the game development to the gurus who do that, and I just try to do my little thing over here. But that was a really special experience, and I'm trying to think if I have any other things. I have weird stories. I mean, having done on camera, and I worked on a show called Special Ops Force that was originally called Soldier of Fortune, and the year that they brought me into the cast, they brought Dennis Rodman in as well, and we shot up in Montreal. So, you do a lot of funny things in this business, and,
right.
But it's a strange little animal, but it's a good ride. It's a really fun ride.
It's a lot of fun, no matter what you're doing and wherever you are. There's always fun to be had and interesting things to come out of it.
That's how I feel, and I know that not everybody feels that way. I mean, I do know that perhaps my attitude is, again, part and parcel to my personality and the view that I take of the work that I do. But for me,
I feel it's a good attitude to have.
Thanks. I think so too.
well, good. I would hate for you to feel it's a bad attitude that you have.
It's a bad attitude to have a good attitude? Yeah. That actually confuses me a little bit. I don't know.
I don't, maybe in negative land, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, do you have any upcoming things that are, soon to be released that you can talk about, or anything that you're working on that you haven't signed an NDA for and are just free game, or?
I so wish that I could answer that question, and the truth is, I actually looked at, because I, of course, knowing this is coming up, I looked at, what do I have coming out, when are things? I literally there's nothing that I'm allowed to speak about right now.
Oh, man.
And there's some all I'll tell you is I've got some really cool projects coming out in the next year and change, and I've been having a blast. I've been working on some really cool games and some other projects commercially. I've been very lucky. I've been working a lot commercially too. And it's all, for me, it's all voiceover. So, and that's, my favorite. So, I really wish I could tell you, and you can check on my website for when stuff comes out. I always put an icon right up as soon as I can.
Oh, definitely.
But I'm sorry, I can't share anything now.
Oh,
It
it's
just
okay.
became the most boring interview you've ever had.
Oh, definitely not. So aside from any upcoming work that you can't talk about, do you have any places where we can stalk you so that we can find this information other than say your website? Do you have like a fan Facebook page, not a personal one? Don't give the fans your personal Facebook page. That is not a lot of fun when certain fans get a hold of
That's
that.
a no-no.
Like maybe a Twitter or
Actually, I've been very lucky. Fans have been very, very sweet to me. I am not on Facebook in general, so I actually don't know if there is a fan Facebook page. That's not something I am aware of. But not being
it would
part
have
of the
been
Facebook.
made by someone else anyway.
Exactly. I mean, IMDb is easy. The humor is that there is a Wikipedia page, but it's in the Netherlands. So I'm totally honored that somebody in the Netherlands decided to put together a Wikipedia page, but there's not one in English. So if you happen to want to check out Wikipedia, not in English, that's where I will. But I think that's pretty much it. IMDb and my website. I tend to stay away from the Twitter and the Facebook world. They scare me a little bit, partly because I think a lot of it is about time. I'm busy, and I feel like I could see myself getting really sucked into that stuff.
Yes,
And
Twitter and Facebook are time killers.
I know, but they look like so much fun.
Yes, if you have a lot of time to spend on them, I guess. You get on Facebook, you're like, okay, in 5 minutes I'm gonna go to bed. 3 hours later, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Exactly. And for me, before I go to bed, I'm up till, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. doing my recording of my auditions for the next day. So
Right.
for me, that's, that would sort of be a poor choice. I think.
Let's see, work, dawdle around on Facebook for a few hours of work, money, nothing that matters.
No, but it does. I know there are a lot of really cool people to connect with out there. And so
Oh, of course.
if I feel like I'm really missing out, I'll probably bend my own rule. But for right now, I'm not on.
All right. Well, if you happen to, just shoot us a little email, and we'll be sure to follow you and retweet your Twitters.
Aw, that's so nice. You make me blush a little bit over here.
Oh, I'm sorry. But it sounds like this is coming a little bit to a close because I'm running out of questions to ask. But one of our traditions for every interview we ever do is we ask if you'll do an on-air bump for us.
Well, sure.
All right. If you would you like to say, my name is, you insert your name, I do this, you insert what you do, say like voice acting, on-camera work, etc., and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay, you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan. Okay.
All right, anytime you're ready.
Hey, I'm Julie Nathanson. I'm a voiceover actress. You might know me as Prish in Final Fantasy. And you are tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And is there anything else you would like to say to our wonderful fans out there?
No, just thank you so much for listening and for being so cool along this ride.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we've got some, great music coming up if you want to listen to the station later. If not, that's okay. We won't.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, thank you for coming on the radio today, and everyone out there listening, keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.